Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the Metropole Grid. This is the beginning of a new channel seeking to provide you with coverage of my local meta, that of beautiful Montreal. My name is Andrej Gomizelj, and today I'm joined by a very special guest. Not only was he 2014's North American National Champion, but also a very nice guy. A warm welcome to Montreal's own Benoit Gascon. Salut, Benoit.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the channel.
So today we are looking at the top 8 game of Montreal's. This was the second regionals from this season. So yeah, this should be a good game. On the left we have Jerome, who's a local player from Montreal. And on the right we have Dien, who came in from Toronto. He was playing in our regional.
And it's really interesting because both players did really well. Actually, they already both won a regional. So Jerome won the first one in Montreal, and I believe Dien went to Rochester to win their regionals.
Yeah. So I think they're probably playing the same decks that they played in those, so you can tell these are really high quality decks. On the left, Jerome is playing Valencia, so that's a slightly larger deck size, but you do have the bad publicity. And of course, that's an alternate art version of Engineering the Future. So whenever you install a card, that is a credit, first time per turn.
And we're going to see a pretty quick game because both players, having played them a couple times already, they both play really fast, so it might be hard to keep track. So you can look at their credit, they go pretty fast and they know what they're doing. So the first rounds are going to go pretty fast, so we see a first Jackson there, trashed of course. The second card is NAPD, which is for credit down the drain.
Perfect. NAPD is actually a pretty good... you're not the most angry if Valencia steals an NAPD just because of the increased res cost. That is a pretty difficult agenda to score at that point. So that might not be too bad.
Interesting fact to know is that Jerome is one of our biggest deck builder in Montreal, so he always comes up with really good decks, really good ideas. He playtested them well as well, and both decks he built last year, I won national in States with them. So he's a really, really good deck builder in Montreal.
Cool. So it looks like Jerome is going to poke at the R&D, sees nothing of value, and now put a bit of pressure on HQ. So at this point, you want to put on some pressure, make the corporation res semis. That's just a wall of static. I guess it could have been worse.
Yeah, the worst thing to face now against HB is Architect for sure. So they install a card, they gain a credit during your turn, and can also boost their econ or anything. It might be a Caprice. They look at top 5 cards. So if you don't get Architect, you're pretty lucky. So Wall of Static is perfect. That's what Jerome wanted to see.
Right. So Career Fair is going to put that daily cast out for free, but on the opposite side of the table, Breaker Bay is going to put that Eve campaign out for free. So it seems like both players have the money that's going to be slowly dripping in over the turns.
Yeah, we've seen a resurgence of Eve since the card was released, because the biggest downside of Eve was the res cost. But now with that card out, Eve is coming back.
Yep. And that's what HB can do now with Breaker Bay. There's so many nice upgrades and assets that you can res for free. And even when you install Breaker Bay, that's 1 credit. That's not too bad at all.
Yeah, you're also putting pressure on the runner, so he needs to check more servers. And that's clicks that the runner doesn't have to do something else.
Right, so that's going to be a face check into the turning. I don't think that was Jerome's first click, so he's going to bounce and going to Career Fair out a liberated accounts for half price. So Jerome's deck has a really strong economy. It's all of the resources that make money, daily casts, liberated. And I think in at least this regionals, money was really important. I know almost all the really strong corporation decks were running some sort of financially taxing upgrade, whether that's an Ash or a Caprice Nice. You really need some sort of money to threaten that remote.
Mm-hmm. Also, Jerome at that point doesn't feel pressure to install any breaker, which is most of the time your biggest econ drain. So as long as you don't feel the pressure of the corp scoring, you don't have to install anything. Just keep getting money, and then when you need the breaker, just install what you need.
Right. And I guess the equal pressure is seen on the corporation side. Double ice on each server. There's no breakers out, so nothing is immediately threatened. That's pretty safe middle game getting into. So another liberated counts goes in. I believe we saw a vamp in Jerome's hand. So maybe that's why he's getting all that money up. Because if you vamp down the corp, Caprice is kind of useless. Ash becomes relatively useless, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. And we see the Jackson, which is might be some information for the runner. Is he looking for agendas, or is he trying to look for other cards that let him score agenda first? So we're gonna see. Most HB right now, they play a Caprice or two to protect the scoring server, or sometimes they also play Biotic Labors and just Sansan, plain old fast advance. If you don't see a clot threat, you can also fast advance an agenda out. So we're gonna see still an econ game. Every side is trying to make the most out of their econ cards.
Right, so Caddy comes out. That's going to be even more money in the long term. Still no breakers, nothing like that needed. I think right now Dien just reminds Jerome that he has some money and just wondering what he's doing with that. But it seems important, so not too bad. That's going to be an ice there on Archives, which gets the credit. And an upgrade on HQ. So are you worried when you play against Anarchs? What are you worried for in terms of HQ pressure? It's the Vamp that's the problem?
Well, it's always the medium. The medium race is so important. And now you see a Grimoire, so you know that a medium coming out comes with one counter on it. So it's already one card and a 2 cards advance if you do just one round. It's pretty difficult. Also, you're playing against Valencia, so you know Valencia plays blackmails, so you have to be really careful for that. So your scoring server needs to have an upgrade so you can stop the blackmail. Whether it's Ash or Caprice, both can work. But right now, with Jerome's econ, Ash is not the greatest upgrade you can have.
Right. And that's so as much as, well, what I've seen a lot in HB is that they will put a breaker bay and then a campaign of some sort into a server and let that click down a couple turns until it's almost empty, and then it will be replaced by an agenda, usually with an Ash or something on top of it. So Jerome did run that server and res the Turing. So now blackmail can't get you into that server for free. He's going to have to click through that or install a breaker. I don't know. Have you played Valencia? Do you tend to not run remotes at all just to make sure blackmail is always available?
It depends on the game. Because right now, Jerome was just trying to put pressure on the remotes, and right now his main target is probably R&D at some point. So right now he's gaining money, and if he needs, he can vamp. But with the upgrade on HQ right now, he needs to look for the scoring server or just R&D.
That's another upgrade on HQ, so maybe getting to HQ is going to be very difficult. That Eve is going to be replaced by another card, actually 2 cards. So probably it might be safe to say one is an agenda, one is definitely another upgrade of sorts. There is an Adonis up. That has 9 credits on it. That probably has to go. First turn Adonis.
And also the Jackson has done wonders right now, so not being able to trash the Jackson is a big point for the Corp.
So there's a scrubber out. Now Valencia becomes very similar to Wizard. 2 credits and a bad
Even
pup.
better, because you have the bad pup that's available every run.
So an SMC and the run into the Adonis, nothing is going to be rezzed. That Adonis is going to be trashed for free.
And you're right, there was an agenda. So is he gonna fire the?
He is gonna fire.
Oh, he is, because he has the Jackson out. So
and
it's not too bad.
Completely missed.
Yeah.
I believe if I saw that correct, there might have been 6 points in there.
If you count, there's already 9 ice on the board.
Yeah.
So it's pretty risky with 9 ice out. Even if you play like 17 or 18, half your ice are on the board already. So
I found though even accelerated beta test, especially with Jackson, is really good against Valencia.
Of
you
course.
can put one piece of ice on R&D. Now the blackmail won't work for sure.
Yep.
So I always try for that if I can. But also a really smart thing, Dien popped his Jackson right at the end of his turn. He was worried about the shard.
Yeah.
There is 6 points in there. If Jerome did play a shard, that would have been game.
Yeah. Also, the Jerome had the credit to do it. So
Yes.
if the runner has 7 or more, or any way to get 7 in fast, an ability of some sort, it's pretty risky not to use Jackson.
I think a good surprise also is if you can career fair into one of the shards.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
For 4 credits, you
Yep.
can access all of Archives. For the game, that might not be too bad. A Parasite is going to go up on that wall of static, so you only have 2 more turns on that. It gets a token with the Grimoire. And it looks like 2 more cards going into that upgrade server.
Yeah, and if you already scored 1, there's probably a Caprice there maybe, and also an agenda now. So the runner has to know that he needs to put pressure somewhere else, or try to score that agenda now and shift pressure afterward.
And the problem I find, I've ran into this problem a bunch of times. If you run Wildside, and if you don't have yet, or you're not running Adjusted Chronotype, HB Ice becomes really taxing. You no longer have the option of walking through Turing, so you have to deal with that. Ichi and all the other Biroids also become a problem.
Or Eli.
Yeah, even Eli. Right now, if he wants to click through that Eli, that's going to be the end of his turn. Let's see what he does. He does have the SMC, so yeah, he actually is going to click through that Eli. This is the res window for that free Caprice, so side game is coming if he wants to pass through that Turing.
He might bounce and do something else afterward and keep his self-modifying
Well,
code.
he has
Who
no
knows?
clicks left, but yeah,
Yeah.
you could keep the SMC.
Yeah.
If you're playing Anarch and you SMC into a Turing, what's usually your answer?
Good question.
think David is the
maybe?
only?
Yeah, maybe a David.
Because that's 5 strength when it's on the remote, so that's perfect for David. Now
So,
Jerome's considering what
he's
he wants to
considering.
do.
He could try for the game and just try to, like, 1 chance out of 3. It's not too bad. Sometimes you just have to try it. And if you do, you trash the Caprice, you maybe score an agenda.
Right.
That would be awesome. So you have to consider doing it at least.
There is another upgrade in there.
Yeah,
It's most
might be.
probably an Ash. So at this point, if he does win the Caprice game, they're going to throw money at each other. And I think probably the runner could recover if from the money loss. They have all that money already stacked up. So it might even be worth throwing the money away. Let's see what Jerome's going to decide.
What a tense moment.
And it looks like he's going to go for it. Because that's the problem, the psychological effect of Caprice. You know, you can invest all this time and all this money, and at the end, might not even be for anything.
There you go. So David.
There's the David.
David's pretty good. It's going to be useful elsewhere probably later on. So a good choice.
Perfect. So that comes out for cheaper also with the bad pub.
Yeah.
And hey, we play a Caprice game.
Always fun to play Caprice.
So 0 to 2. What are your bets? Your predictions?
I roll at
You
that
roll?
point. Yeah, I just there's no point. Like both players have so much money. Like you're gonna try something, and
Right. So that was a
so
loss.
one more click for Jerome, I believe.
No, he had a wild side.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. So he's going to
He's
discard the
playing-
Atman
oh, yeah.
and a
He's
medium in the
discarding a
trash.
medium.
So if there's agenda in the remote, it can be scored. It looks like it will be, just to Vitruvius. However, that means that that wall of static is going to go down.
But there's still 2 upgrades on HQ, so pretty difficult.
That it is.
But if he reses another Caprice, he has to trash the remote server Caprice. So
Right.
what's the worst? Ash, Chrism Grid probably.
Chrism Grid.
Yeah,
won't-
Chrism
Grid
Grid
won't
against
do anything much. I don't
against
think.
Vamp.
Oh, against Vamp.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a problem.
So clone chip. Now he has another breaker out if he wants, or a parasite in fast effect. There's also we've seen I think an Atman.
Atman, yeah.
Yeah,
Clone
that's-
chip SMC is lovely. Anything could come out.
Yeah,
Even though checking those upgrades with the scrubber is good,
yeah.
you can trash
You,
those
you
for
also
pretty
force
cheap.
him to res and ice, or just like access everything and do something else.
So
different
Jerome asks if he wants to res any of those upgrades. I believe he's declining, and that ice is going to be res. That's a Heimdall 2.0.
Oh, so expensive. The
Very
corp is
expensive.
already at 5 now. That's an expensive piece of ice.
Wow, that's a huge money swing.
Yeah.
And I believe there's only 1 click left on the runner side, so clicking through 2 of those subroutines is not an option.
But you also have your David out.
You do have David, which is
Yeah.
the perfect answer for this.
Of course. And there's no asset econ installed, so is the corp gonna recover from that credit loss with only 4 points scored against 2? I don't know. There you go, David.
So the brain
one
damage.
brain damage. Yep.
And that
And he's
is a
gonna access
parasite,
all the upgrades.
right? And it doesn't look like any of the upgrades are going to be resed. Going to access HQ first.
First, yeah, just to see if you score any PD.
Ooh,
3 points.
Fragment.
Game points. So you're gonna see a game point soon.
So you got
Accesses
a
the
breaker bay grid, trash that for free with scrubber, and it was a second
yeah.
Caprice.
So if you res that, you lose your Caprice on the remote.
Would you consider running resing the Caprice knowing that you have 3 points and 3 cards?
Maybe.
I might.
Maybe.
You
I
would
might.
be at only 3.
Like, not res the ice and just res the Caprice, maybe, just to see. Because resing the Caprice is 0, because you have your breaker grid.
Right.
Maybe. It's hard
Yeah,
to say.
it's hard.
Hard to say. But now, as the runner, you probably know there was only one agenda at that point. If not,
Yes,
the
that's
Caprice
true.
Res would have been really good. So basically, the Corp went for one chance out of 3. I'm going to take the risk.
That's true. So Jackson's going out on the table. Looks like Dien needs to draw up at this point. He did put another agenda in hand through that draw. That is an NAPD, which could be game if that's accessed.
With 6 credit, it's really hard. You can install it on your Caprice. It's
Right.
safer than
Yep.
keeping it in your hand, but it's also pretty risky with 6 credit because now you're in vamp range easily.
Yes. So that Jackson's going to go right away before any shard
Yeah.
can come out. Yeah, that's an issue. I think, the remote's probably the safest place. There is no David counters. If you want to get that David back, you have to install something first and then run, which means you can't click through the Eli.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what is going to happen. So there's still a vamp in hand, so that is a possibility.
Yeah, but there's also clone chip could bring back a medium, or you can install
you
a
just
medium
install the medium.
and then blackmail the R&D.
Right.
It's already 2 cards. If
That-
we see another blackmail, it's gonna be 3 cards
Ooh,
more.
another
and
Caprice. That's
trashing
trashed for free.
And score. That's it.
Accelerated beta
yeah,
test.
good,
That's
good
the game.
game. Well played by both players. I think we saw the econ advantage of Valencia in the beginning with all the resources, and then he just put pressure on the right server at the right time.
Right, that judo-esque swing of pressure. How
Yeah.
you first the remote, then the HQ, and then the R&D, and it's really hard to hold down all 3.
Yeah.
Excellent, really well played.
Cool.
Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned. There will be more regionals coverage coming up over the next few days. Thank you.
Thank you.